Ciao, homie.
What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and tonight I have a last-minute update to my Rogue Invitational 2021 predictions. I reworked a few things, and you're looking at my block's strongest algorithm, where I filtered out national competitions first of all. So any of America's Strongest Man, Britain's Strongest Man, competitions where there weren't international competitors. I took them out to try to make it more like the Rogue Invitational will be, with guys all over the world competing against each other. And then the other thing I did was I filtered down to the events and the competitors at this particular show. And then I took a few other kind of tweaks from my original predictions. One, I looked at folks that had competed at the Arnold's with the elephant bar, for example, deadlift, the sear dumbbell. So guys that had sear dumbbell, I put a heavier weight on how they did there. And guys that did the deadlift at the Arnold's, I put a heavier emphasis on that as well. And that kind of changed some things around. So as you can see here, it's kind of broken out by athletes. So you'll see Tom Stoltman. You'll see events similar to what's going to happen at the Rogue Invitational. So I put in Conan's wheel, Titan's turntable, wheel of pain, any variation that they had done, a super yoke, log press for time and for reps, dumbbell and sear if they had it, deadlift for max. And again, like if they had the Arnold deadlift, I took just that one. And you'll see that makes a big difference for guys like Brian Shaw, for example. And then Atlas Stones. So then as you scroll down, you have the same thing for Rob Kearney. You have the same thing for Alexi Novikov. You have the same thing for Mikhail Shivlakov and so forth. So here are all their ratings compiled in that way. So that being said, I have Jerry Pritchett predicted to be in 10th place with 14 points. The way I've broken that out is his deadlift, 45 rating for Jerry, good enough for 3 points there. Dumbbell Medley, he had a 15 rating. So Wheel of Pain, a 40 rating for Jerry, good enough for 4 points. And then taking his competitions where he did yoke and log, kind of combine it, 62.99 there, good enough for 4 points. The other tweak I made was I went specifically with Atlas Stone instead of trying to take some combination of bag over bar and extrapolate it some other way. I went specifically with Atlas Stone. I know this one is a natural stone, but it's over a hitching post. Similar enough, I feel. And again, this makes a big difference for guys like Brian Shaw. So 2 points there to Jerry, 31.96 rating there. Moving on up, in 9th place, I have Mikhail Shivlakov, who I have coming away with 17 points. His deadlift for max, I gave him an 80 rating, so good enough for 8 points on this particular type of deadlift. Dumbbell Medley, he rates 45, so good enough for 4 points there. Wheel of Pain, only 10 on his rating there, so I think he'll come in last there, 1 point. Yoke Log Medley, 56.9 rating, good enough for 3 points. And Stones, 25.56 on Atlas Stones. Again, if you take away like just national or smaller shows, good enough for 1 point. 8th place, I think we'll go to Luke Stoltman. So I predicted 22 points for him. And funny enough, I didn't even have to take anything off for the factor of him being tired from Britain's. The numbers just played out this way with these particular events. 1 point on deadlift for max for Luke at a rating of 29.29. Dumbbell Medley, although he did well at Britain's, these are heavier. And if you take a look at similar events to this one in his past, 58.08. So now, the one thing I should say is for guys that had sear, I counted that, but some guys have never done sear, so I had to end up taking a compilation of all dumbbell medleys for reps and for time that they had done, just to make it fair on everybody. So 6 points for Luke Stoltman. Wheel of Pain, I also gave him 6 points. He has a 60 rating there. Yoke and Log, he came out around the same, 66.07 in his rating, good enough for 5 points. And in Atlas Stones, 61.97, I think he'll come away with 4 points there. 7th place, I gave to JF Caron. So not a great set of events for him except for deadlift for max, which I think he's going to win. Dumbbell Medley, his rating is 49.86, good enough for 5 points. Wheel of Pain, the 2 times he's done events like this, he didn't do so well. I know he was injured at World's Strongest Man, but he didn't do that well in the other example I have either. So a rating of 25, 2 points on Wheel of Pain. Yoke and Log, 1 point there. And then Atlas Stone, 6 points to JF there for a rating of 76.05. Sixth place, I have going to Tom Stoltman, 28 points for him. So deadlift for max, a rating of 50.88, good enough for 5 points. Dumbbell medley, not such a great rating, 27.11, good enough for 2 points. Wheel of pain, I'm giving him 9 points there, so I think he's going to come in second place there. Yoke and log, rating at 56.37, so good enough for 2 points there. And then Atlas Stones, we all know how good Tom Stoltman is at Atlas Stones, a rating of 92.19 with the filtering that I showed you. Funny enough, if you add in Britons and UKs and that kind of stuff, it goes up even higher than this, but 10 points. Tom Stoltman will win these stones. I have Rob Kearney predicted to come in 5th place here, deadlift for max, a rating of 60, good enough for 7 points for him. Dumbbell medleys, 63.54, good enough for 7 points. He rates 60 on wheel of pain type events, good enough for 6 points there. He rates 75 on yoke log, good enough for 8 points there. And Atlas Stones, 34.33, a little bit lower than some of the other events for 3 points. Martins Lisius will come in 4th place with 32 points, and so deadlift for max, I have him at a rating of 52.5 for 6 points. Dumbbell medley, a rating of 45 for 4 points. Wheel of pain, 8 points. His rating is 95 on these type events, so an incredible, incredible score there. The yoke log medley, 73.27 for Martins is his rating in the filtered events that I've done, and that's good enough for 7 points. And natural stone, good enough for 7 points as well, a very good rating, 79.85 for Martins. So I have him coming in 4th place. Some people have him on their podium, but here's my podium. 3rd place will go to Matthias Kiliaskowski. So I originally had him tying for 1st, I believe, and breaking the tie and actually winning. That has changed based on the tweaks I mentioned. The focus on the elephant bar, the focus on more of a pure Atlas stone type event, and they're really taking into consideration of guys who have done seared dumbbell in addition to the other dumbbell type events. So 35 points for Matthias, breaking out into 2 points on deadlift for max. So he only rates 30 over his career there. Dumbbell medley, he rates 100, although if you've watched the stuff Alexi's been doing recently in training, I still can't give Matthias the win on this one, so I'm going to say he's going to come in 2nd, 9 points there. Wheel of pain, I think he could win, so I have him winning that with a rating of 100 over his career. He's done this type of event 3 times and won it all 3 times. Yoke and log, 88.64, a very high rating there if you combine those 2 events, and I think he comes away in 2nd place with 9 points. And Atlas Stone, 73.89, good enough for 5 points for Matthias, so we have 2 better. 2nd place, I have Brian Shaw. So Brian, with the tweaks that I've made, has moved up considerably from my previous predictions. I rated him 90 on this particular deadlift. He got 9 points the one time he did it, and it was very recently, 2020, I believe. So 9 points there. Dumbbell, we all know how good Brian is with dumbbell events, so 88.33 there. I don't think he actually had a sear in his history, but his other dumbbell events were aggregated to be a very high rating, so 8 points there. Wheel of pain, I have him coming away with 4 points there with a rating of 40 over his career. Yoke and log, 70.70, good enough for 6 points. And natural stones, I think he comes in 2nd only to Tom Stoltman, 88.09 rating over his career. And that leaves us with our winner, and that is Alexi Novikov. So I think this time around with these retweaks, he clearly comes away with the win. And so that'll be the deadlift for max, where his rating is 48.33, good enough for 4 points. Dumbbell medley, I think he will win. His rating over his career slightly lower than Matthias, but like I said, he did an incredible, incredible thing on Instagram recently, so 10 points for Alexi there. 70 is his rating on Wheel of Pain type events over his career, so I think he comes away with 7 points there. Yoke log, I think he will win. His rating is 93.75 over his career. And then Atlas Stones, he rates a very high score, 82.16 over his career, if you take away, again, the national competitions and the smaller competitions. So 8 points to Alexi there. So that's how I think it'll break down. 1st place, Alexi Novikov. 2nd place, Brian Shaw. And 3rd place, Matthias Kiliaskowski in the Rogue Invitational 2021. Those are your predictions. Thanks again for joining me on my blog, Strongest Man. And of course, as always, until next time. Ciao, homie.